World's Best Dad Podcast. Welcome.
Thank you.
We have a special guest today.
Yes.
Mr. Jon Heder.
Thank you.
I'm Christian. This is Jimmy.
Hi, Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi.
John, you and I we're old friends.
We go way back.
And I'll be the judge of way.
Way. Well,
Justifies way
let's
back,
see. What is way back?
Because we go way back.
You guys do go.
Did you see
What
that
is your
Gleaming the
guys'
Cube?
history? I didn't even look.
I
this up.
met him right after he did
After
that movie.
Gleaming the Cube.
Wait, are you in Gleaming the Cube?
I'm in Gleaming the
Yeah.
Cube.
You know what? I think we
Christian.
watched that.
I'm one of
we
the
haven't
I'm
seen
one
it.
of the
I'm
skaters.
not a high five
I
yet
can-
because I haven't seen it.
I can get you an
But well
autograph
done.
if you need
I'll give
one.
you a calf rub.
Hey, I'll take that all day. Thanks.
So you're a skater in Gleaming the Cube.
it's,
All right.
It's kind
all
of
right.
was my way into the skateboarding world, even though I was skateboarding and it was into skateboarding.
But then you're like, oh, this is legit.
Yeah, I kind of met. Well, the guys that were in the movie, we all kind of were making fun of it because it was not very realistic.
The movie you were making
Movie,
fun of,
yeah.
not
What do you mean?
skating.
I thought it was a documentary.
We had fun. We had fun making it, and Stacy Peralta was the second unit director, so it was
Was
legit.
he really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It was super legit, but then at the end of the day, it kind of was a silly. It was a
Who's
very
the,
B movie.
who's the guy pointing the gun at the top left?
That's Manny from Scarface. But I
Yeah,
don't know his
Steven.
name.
Is it
Stephen
is?
Bauer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Stephen Bauer is his name. Yeah.
Wait, so you guys met there?
So, no. So I had a skateboard ramp that people came to, and some people came over one day, and they're like, "Hey, Lance is coming over, and he's bringing this actor dude, Christian from Gleaming the Cube." And I thought Christian Slater. I was like, "What? That dude skates?" And then this idiot shows up. Yeah.
And
How long ago was this?
I was
Was that
probably
88 or 89?
16, 80.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're a young gun.
Yeah, we were just boys.
Yeah.
You were like still in junior high school or high
Years
school?
younger
Yeah.
than you, yeah.
15, 14 or 15?
14. I think.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Jimmy had this ramp that was like really famous. Everyone went there. It was like kind of like a
Sits down in like Orange County,
Yeah,
like
County.
It
It
or
was Westminster.
it's right next to
It's a
Huntington
little
Beach.
scary,
Right next to
but it's
Huntington.
fine.
Yeah,
Right,
it's more of the rougher side of
Yeah,
Huntington
the
Beach.
tracks.
Yeah, the tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was the Outsiders, he would have been the
I would
grease.
have been the socials.
Yeah, no,
the
the you're the grease.
Soch.
I was a Soch. Yeah,
Yeah, I
you
was
were
a
a greaser. Yeah, for sure.
Pony Boy would have been my pal.
Yeah,
might
but
have
I
been
wasn't
one
a
of those
Soch by like
Soches.
geographical location. It was just because I'm super white.
Yeah,
That's
because you
why.
had craft services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
lucky.
I know, right? Right?
Anyway,
Wish I had-
let's enough about us. We want to talk about.
So anyway, no, hold on.
dads.
I was disappointed that Christian Slater didn't come. That's all. The bottom line.
Oh,
But we remained friends.
yeah. And you decided
But
this
who
is
wouldn't,
like
right?
this is second best or third
It's
or
a
fourth
Christian, he
or
was
way
in
down the
the
line
movie.
best, and I'll just go for it.
Yeah. We'll see if it works.
Have you crossed paths with Christian Slater in your
I
times
have
of careers?
Yes, I have. He was one of the throughout. There's obviously when you work with someone, but then kind of in the first 5, 6, maybe 7 years of my career when I was out and about a bit more and less kids and just going to award. Really, it's going to award shows.
Yeah.
That's where you bump and rub elbows
Nickelodeon,
and
Kids'
tickle.
Choice,
Yeah, stuff like
MTV,
that.
yeah.
It was at some award show, I don't remember, but it was just a very quick oh, Chris, everybody was always like, John, do you know so-and-so? John, do you know, they were always nice to introduce.
That's
and
such
I'm
a Hollywood introduction.
and I'm like,
hey, John, do you know
well,
that
because
person?
they feel like they're doing you a favor. Hey, I'm going to hook you. And then,
Hulk Hogan did that to me with the brother from Wonder Years. Remember, I told you that.
Oh, Jason
We met
Harvey.
Hulk Hogan, and we got on his golf cart to go back behind the filming of American Gladiators, the new one.
Okay.
And he was like, "Hey, do you guys know Jason? We know the dude from Wonder Years. Me and my buddy." And
are you talking about the older brother,
yeah,
Wayne?
Exactly. Wayne Arnold. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's
Anyways,
awesome.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
No,
Come
but
on,
that's
what
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I
Yeah.
do around those people.
Yeah.
Is I don't
John, you know
start.
Christian,
I don't
right?
freak out about anything in that, but inside I'm like, oh sweet, Christian Slater.
Yeah, totally.
That's right.
Yeah.
Broken Arrow, no way.
Yeah. I was like that too, but I didn't know what to say, and I just that guy. Wayne Arnold looked at me and I just
Yes.
go, Wonder Years. And he got so bummed and turned back around in his golf cart. And
He got bummed out. He was like, oh.
Yeah, he was not stoked.
He was not stoked. I just ran into the guy from
Broken Arrow.
no, the guy.
Heather's was fantastic.
I just ran
Heather's
into
was
the
good.
guy from. Yeah, I know. I was kind of going for a little bit of a deeper cut.
Oh, you going RZ?
Cuts is good.
But I ran into the guy from Christmas Story. Schwartz. Who gets his butt kicked by his mom.
Yeah, he was the tongue on the pole, right?
No, that's Flick.
Oh, you're right.
That's Flick.
Schwartz was on the phone.
Oh, he's the one who's like, "Go on, smart ass, do it."
Schwartz was the one that
he egged him on.
Yeah, he's the one who got beat up by his mom.
Yeah, when Ralphie blamed.
Yes, Schwartz.
Where'd you learn that word?
Yeah.
The whole time,
that's right.
Yeah.
Where'd you bump into him?
It was at a premiere of a film that I did. Like, he manages a boxing center in downtown LA.
Random.
Like a little boxing get together, and I think he manages the place or co-manages it. And my friend who directed this film I was in, she goes there and she invited him to the premiere, and I was like, holy cow, Schwartz. And that was one of those few moments where I was like, dude, it's amazing to meet you. You know what I mean? Anything that's part of my childhood is more. I kid you not. Of all the celebrities I've met in my career, the one I probably freaked out the most about was Megan Follows. Do you follow me?
Megan Follows. Oh, I know that name. Where do I know that name
The
from?
original Anne of Green Gables.
The one with the freckles.
Well, Anne of Green Gables does have freckles, but
What's she up to these days? Like,
she acts. She does acting? She's in that Rain show.
Rain.
Like REIGN. Rain?
Oh, Rain.
Okay,
yeah. I've heard of it.
There's the other show, RAIN, where it's just 24/7 rain.
Channel.
Instead of the fireplace channel, it's just rain.
It's just
those
raining.
who just want to for nap time.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Kids like nap time. That's cool.
They love it.
Megan Follows. That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's so random, though.
I was very excited.
Yeah.
So
I would have figured it was like a Van Damme or someone, actiony.
Yeah, no, I don't like. I dig a lot of those guys, but I don't. If it's really a part of my childhood, then I will, like, I try. It's like if I met anyone from like Karate Kid Part 2 or something like that.
Oh,
that would
that's
be
good.
sweet.
That's
That would be
deep
rad.
cuts.
Yeah, the drum.
Yes,
Which is really just a baby rattle.
that's true. That's true. Those baby rattles in Japan.
We're gonna do a lot of this.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Or should we take our shirts off?
It's getting a little hot in here.
We're keeping it real. We're keeping it real.
Clothing optional.
So on the World's Best Dad podcast, we talk about being a dad. We also talk about our
Being the
dads.
best dad, apparently.
We talked with Bobcat and Mark about their dads a little bit. So is there any like fun
They're
dad
fun
stories you
stories,
have
maybe?
from your childhood that your dad set
Oh.
things in motion for you
Did
as
he
a
influence
dad?
you to get into acting? Was he pissed?
Absolutely
about it?
not.
Okay.
Both questions. Not pissed. No inspiration for acting. Like, he was a doctor. Grew up. He was a family doctor. So it's like it was all boys and one girl at the top. Like 5 boys.
Okay,
one
so
girl.
you have an
You
older
guys have-
sister.
I have an older sister.
So that's where some Anne of Green Gables like influence.
Kind
think
of.
so?
We would just sit as a family, watch this
TV.
good,
Yeah.
good,
That's
clean
like-
family
that's what
fun.
everybody
That's
did,
true.
And we'd all sit around watching because you could relate to like all this coming of age stuff. This is a heavy on Anne of Green Gables.
This is
a
heavy.
huge.
But it's kind of fun.
Yeah,
though,
we
right?
gotta
fun,
go.
yeah.
It is
Yeah.
fun.
Wait till we see.
Check
the
it out.
Yeah.
2 of the kids in the halls are in it because it's a Canadian book.
Whoa!
So
Wait. Which ones?
well, you're gonna have to watch it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, look, I bet
That's like homework.
You guys
Mark
have to do
McKinney.
it.
I'm guessing.
It's not Mark McKinney.
Oh man.
Wrong. You're wrong.
No.
Dang.
Whatever.
I do like him.
Yeah.
I like all those.
Oh, he's
guys.
amazing. They're all
good. They're all
amazing.
good. We're gonna research it. So
Yeah,
your
yeah.
dad's a doctor.
My dad's a doctor,
That's
so
cool.
our
you were
household
born
was born. No, I don't think he didn't deliver us.
Born free. My dad is
The
a
motorcycle
doctor. It's
show?
a joke.
Oh, the doc. Oh.
Born free. My dad is a doctor. You haven't heard that one?
No, I haven't.
Sorry.
Maybe
Yeah,
we aren't on the. Maybe I take back some of those.
Take
Yeah.
back
and
some neat touches.
It's gonna moonwalk away
All right,
from your
sorry, I keep
I like.
interrupting, but we're trying to keep things light.
Can you see that pretty well? Moonwalk is very.
We'll see it.
You're getting too excited.
He is. It's gonna be an awkward one. Yeah. Hey, I'm just gonna stay in here, guys. So
I
you
was
guys walk
putting a
out.
glow around it.
Yeah, he.
Am I blushing? Because
You are.
I have feeling.
So, family doctor. I wouldn't say born free, but yeah, definitely treatment free. Like, we never went to the doctors because he was at because
home.
he was a doctor. So here's my dad in a nutshell: the ultimate scoutmaster. Like, we're big in scouts. We were scouts. Did all that
Tourniquet
stuff.
on it. You'll be fine. Right?
100%. That's like him right there. It's just kind of like, you know, because he was a doctor, first aid was definitely his specialty, but he was of that mindset. Whenever we had all the tales of, like, my brothers and I got to go on all these really cool camping trips even before we were scouts, like 8, 9, 10. He would bring us along. So it was kind of really prepped us. So by the time we were scouts and going out there, we were, instead of, I don't know if it helped that we felt like not daddy's boys, but that's a big theme of scout. You were a scout, probably.
Yeah.
Right? Scout? No.
Hey, man.
My brother was.
Eagle's Nest, bro.
Eagle's Nest.
Eagle's
Eagle's
Nest.
Nest?
Eagle's Nest. Come on.
Let's do the secret Eagle's Nest.
Is that Eagle Claw? Does that tie into that?
That ties into
That's
Eagle
why
Claw.
they-
Yeah,
That ties
so
into
that's
Eagle.
why that role was so natural for you.
Very,
Eagle
very.
Claw. That's right.
So one of the biggest things of scouts is just like, you know, you really see is the kids, your friends and buddies, some of the other scouts, and it's all about getting out there and becoming a man, learning the skills, help you survive, not just in the elements, but survive life, learn life skills. And so I always had this perspective.
You're using those every
Yeah, every
Yeah. And I had this perspective from the perspective of being the son of the scoutmaster and the guy he took it upon himself, like in every scout, in every scout troop.
Pressure being a scout?
No, I don't think
Why
so.
can't you make a fire?
Yeah, because I already knew. I think I knew. It was kind of like,
making a fire.
well, no, I think because I spent all my younger years, like around 10, 11 is the complaining years. Dad, I don't know how to do this. So he'd show us.
That's true.
So by the time I was in scouts, I had a little bit more like, hey, you guys, I got this. And all the other guys were like, how do you do this? How do you do this?
Schooling
My
the
brothers and I
scoutmasters.
were like, yeah, we know what we're doing.
Clove hitch, easy.
Yeah. Half hitch?
Sheep shank, no problem.
Yeah. Bowline hitch,
The bowline
easier.
This is
Easier.
a nice knot episode.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, we could go for knots. The do's and do nots.
I'm gonna have you tie my
Knots.
shoe.
Hey!
Oh, I see what you
Hold
did.
on, let me get that.
That was fantastic.
I'm moonwalking into
You're gonna
there.
moonwalk? The door
That's
is
pretty
open.
amazing. That's pretty amazing.
So,
Okay, so older sister,
yeah.
then you
No. Then my older brother.
have an older brother.
Then me and my twin.
Your twin.
I have a twin.
you have a twin.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they're
Just like the
identical.
Olsen sisters.
They look a lot alike.
Just like them, identical as well.
And then Matt,
We thought about hooking up once.
You guys should double
your
down.
brother
uh,
Matt. I
And
know
then,
your brother
no,
Matt.
and then Adam.
Adam, I don't know Adam.
And then Matt.
And then
Matt's
Matt.
the bottom.
Matt's the baby.
He's the baby.
Okay, so Matt
Sounds
was on
adorable.
an episode
Matt.
of the Aquabats Super Show as well.
What was he?
He was that
First season?
They were going to beat up a kid, and then the Pilgrim Boy came and stopped the fight.
Yeah.
Do you
I
remember?
think
I'm
he
familiar with
did.
the Pilgrim Boy episode, but I
Matt
don't
was
remember
like,
that.
I think Matt has more screen time with you guys than I do. He was on
Oh.
Yogaba.
That's
That
true.
really bummed me out.
But I think just as a background dude.
Yeah, I think background, but
Hey, he was still on.
Hey,
we're talking to the film
when
industry
Gabba
here.
Gabba comes back because
Yeah.
this show is helping to kickstart.
Oh, okay, that's
you
what
have
we're
a
doing.
you're gonna have a
This is
feature
gonna
role.
fund Yo
Yeah.
Gabba Gabba, this bus that's in your driveway.
It's coming back. It's
Yeah,
coming back.
yeah.
I'm saying that with
I
confidence.
like playing to the
I
camera.
have
We're
faith.
just gonna do this the whole time.
Oh, should we all?
I'm gonna
just do
talk.
it?
No, you
Well, we
guys
got
talk
this
to each
camera,
other. And
too.
I'm just gonna talk. So yeah, no, that's the lineup.
Okay,
So we're kind
so
of
I know-
smack
yeah.
dab in the middle.
You and your brother.
Yeah.
You're identical.
My twin. And I think for us, you know, we always had that feeling, especially with my dad, like he was always there on all the campouts. And even when he wasn't, it's like that training was in us, just kind of instilled. And I think as
Like
kids,
his floating head was behind you and you're about to
Yes,
cut
it's-
into something.
What was that?
Never
Slow
cut
down,
never
Ron,
cut towards
slow
yourself.
down.
Always cut
Yeah.
cut out.
Cut out. You're gonna
you guys
lose
are
a
like-
corner of your totem chip.
I'm not sure what that means.
Totem chip. I get that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll Google that later.
Another
For
deep
me.
cut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
deep cuts.
Oh!
Come on. This is
Hey,
good.
You should trademark that.
This might
Yeah,
be the best
yeah.
episode yet.
This
so.
is fun. Yeah. So
Anyway,
you guys are like
so your dad
Navy SEAls of Scouts.
Almost,
Yeah.
except we had no hair. And
your dad shaved your heads too?
no, well, you know, we were still prepubescent.
They didn't have
okay.
hairy
Yeah.
chests.
Yeah.
Like
I
the
get it.
Schwarzeneggers
In other words,
and Van Dams of the
well,
world.
under here,
metaphorically, we had no hair. We were not that tough. We thought we were. We were kind of the shit in our troop
Yeah, I bet.
because it was just like the heaters, like, oh yeah, the heaters kind of know what they're doing, but we also,
Heaters, they start fires.
yeah,
Hey.
we did
In a good
actually
way.
start a fire.
Oh, really?
Did you start a fire? Okay, tell us that.
I didn't
What's
start
the
it.
statute of limitations on this story, though? First?
No.
You're safe?
It's because I didn't start the
Oh,
fire.
okay. Tell away.
We were at a scout camp. I mean, most of my stories probably today will be scout centric. But we were at a scout camp. One of my earliest ones, I was probably like 11. And so a lot of the older scouts, we were there mucking about and between merit badge sessions. And these guys, we had a fire in the camp. And they were playing with moss. You're not supposed to do that.
Ooh, moss.
What are the moss?
The handbook, you can't play with moss?
Well, I mean, it's just like it's very flammable. Probably at a camp, at a scout camp.
Okay.
The moss is very light. It lights up and it floats up. And it caught a tree right in our camp. Just started going up. Flames started going up the trunk.
No, the stem.
The stem. That's a stem.
Yeah.
That's a stem.
That's a
And
technical
we freaked out. Now I started just booking it towards like the main lodge, kind of like fire, yelling for help.
And your
But
dad's
I do
scoutmaster
remember-
floating head was behind you.
Yeah.
Put it out
He was
yourself,
coming in that
user.
day.
Oh, he was coming
in the
yeah.
day. But right before I took off, I remember seeing they have like water, like fire buckets they have near the tents that are filled with water ready for emergencies. Yeah. And one of the older scouts kind of panicked, grabbed it, and he like, instead of just chucking the water, he chucked the whole bucket. And the bucket,
So no water came out and just bounced off?
it bounced off the tree and landed on their tent. It's got the tent wet, did nothing to the fire.
That's awesome.
I took off running, just kind of panicking. And my dad is my image of my dad. He was always just Mr. Calm, cool, and collected. Like, as a scoutmaster, he was the ultimate example as a dad, as a scoutmaster, because he's just like, what's going on? And we're like, oh, the fire. And he's like, all right, let's go check it out. And, I get back, and luckily the fire only just kind of burnt a little bit of the bark of that tree. It didn't spread. I think it was just a total, like, miracle. Like, these guys are, like, it's like God is, you guys are idiots. I'm going to teach you a quick lesson, but not enough to ruin this entire camp experience.
Yeah.
And they, outlawed fires for the rest of the week. And everybody's like, looking at our troop during mealtime.
Then it
just
turned
like,
into those headers. They do know how to do fire.
yeah.
But that would have been funny if your dad was like, okay, let's go check it out. And then, like, the forest is totally
And
on
he's just
fire.
like,
I have a funny
well, what
one.
did I train you guys to do?
Let's go.
Of course. World's Best Dad Podcast. She's not going to miss it.
Getting back to dad stuff.
Yes.
Because that's the
And
most.
fires,
That's
no?
the fires.
Yeah.
We can keep talking about fires. I have some fire stories, but who wants to hear my fire stories?
Here's a
So, following the footsteps of my dad, I was a scoutmaster then. I'm not right now, but I have been like a couple times.
You retired?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good.
I was one right when I moved out to LA. Right after Napoleon, I became a scoutmaster.
Oh,
then.
man.
For a couple of years, and then I was off for a couple of years, and then when I lived in Studio City for like 10 years, I was basically the scoutmaster.
Oh, my good. That's pretty awesome.
So they wanted the voice, I'm sure, if it was right after Napoleon, then, right?
The
Not get away
kids,
from it? Yeah.
the kids. Well, I was a scoutmaster in Malibu. So
Whoa.
we had like all of like 5 kids,
Yeah.
and they're all they wanted to do was surf. They're just like, let's go on a surfing trip. I have no surfing experience. I was just like, come on, you guys, let's go light some fires. They're like, no, let's go surf. I was like, oh,
There's a nice looking
And this
tree
was
over there that wants some
pre-Surf's
fire.
Up, right?
this is right before Surf's Up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you
Let
live.
me-
Not that
just
Surf's
say-
Up gave me surfing.
That gave you
experience.
surfing
But
experience,
still,
yeah.
like,
Tons of it.
that's one of my kids, especially my older kids' favorite movies.
Oh,
They
good.
still watch it. And
Yeah,
my
yeah.
son's 18. My oldest son is 18. They
Yeah.
still love Surf's Up. So
That's
fun.
good.
you nailed it. You nailed it.
I was
congratulations.
hoping, because I was like,
It was good.
I know I got a little bit of the voice, but I've never surfed. Should I be surfed? They gave me a surfboard.
But you
Never
surfed
used it.
before, right? You with your
I've
troop?
never surfed.
You never did, even when you
No,
went
because
camping with your troop.
instead they were wanting to go. This is during the winter, and I was like, no, let's go skiing instead. I'll ski.
Oh, we have
So that's
wetsuits,
sweet.
bro. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right?
No, we should have surfed so I could connect with them better. But I wasn't a dad at the time. I was learning, and I should have realized. And now those kids are gone down darker paths. I actually don't.
You ruined their lives.
They're all in
You
prison
ruined their
now.
lives, yeah.
They're
Rich kids from Malibu.
probably doing well.
Yeah, I bet.
I should look them up.
Dad, the trust fund's late.
That would be interesting to see what your troop is up to these days.
Yeah. I do keep up with. There's the other troop I was only like a year their scoutmaster.
Okay.
But then the last place I was there for almost 10 years.
Wow. So you
That
got to
was
see
crazy.
kids go all the way.
Yeah. I got some eagles.
Wow.
Yep.
Do any of those eagles, are they dads now?
No, but I swear I'm waiting for the day for one of them to just call me, because he just got married like a couple of years ago, and I keep thinking he's probably going to call me like to announce, like, dude, I'm going to be a dad, and it's going to blow my head.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Not my mind.
Your head.
My head.
It's going to blow your head over.
Yeah, hopefully your mind will stay intact when your head blows.
Yeah, but that is kind of crazy to you go through experiences with kids, and then they're all grown up, and then they have kids.
So like our kids is what you're saying?
Yeah, well, we're getting there. We're getting there. I mean, my oldest is 21 this year.
Be doing that stuff soon, right?
How old's your oldest?
21, almost.
Holy cow.
Almost 21.
Almost 21? Jeez, we are not the same age.
No.
Unless
Well,
you
You might have
just...
started early.
I might have started early.
You might have started it early.
Jeez.
I was born in 72, so...
Oh, yeah, we're not the same.
Yeah.
Ouch. Ouch.
Well, we're in the 70s. We share the 70s.
You're in the 70s, right?
Yeah. What are you?
77.
Oh, okay. So Star Wars.
You're the same age as my wife. Star Wars kids.
Yeah.
77s.
Yeah. 7-4.
You're 74?
Yeah.
Huh.
What?
Just now learning this.
70s kids, guys.
Yeah.
What's up? I wonder
72,
what
you might be
You were
my
almost the
sister's
60s.
age.
He was almost in the 60s.
Almost.
Yeah, jeez.
But still, 72. That's...
Yeah, I think you're my sister's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's your sister at these days?
She's in Oregon.
Okay.
That's where we grew up.
Oh, you guys grew up in Oregon?
Yeah.
Okay. Which is even a greater place to grow up as a kid with trees and...
Yeah. No,
Scout
in
mastering
the
through
scout
the
world,
woods.
in the scout world, we had everything at our disposal, because we do beach trips, because we lived in Salem, so it was only about an hour from the beach. Of course, our beach
pickup trips.
Yeah, like Lewis and Clark Trail, following in their historic footsteps.
I can't swim. There's too much wood in the water.
Ours was not surf trips. Ours was like, go to the coast,
Survive.
and just like
Don't
look
get
at
hit
the
by a
nice
log.
water and just camp out next to it. We had the coast right there. We had the mountains. We went, we went winter camping every winter.
Haystack Rock over?
Haystack
Yeah,
Rock.
that's beautiful. I went
Yeah.
over there once.
Yeah, Cannon Beach.
Yeah.
We did.
So
we
you're
had a
closer
little
to
bit of
Portland,
everything.
or...
closer to Portland.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like a suburb of Portland.
Not a suburb. It is it's still about it. It's an hour south of Portland.
That was
what
way
city?
before all the
Salem.
heroin hit Portland
Salem.
then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, I missed this.
Portland's crazy. No, right?
Portland is
Have you
No,
been back
it's
to
weird.
Portland?
That's what they called weird Portland. Not,
not
crazy
crazy.
Portland.
Well, there
Not
are
that I know
crazy
of.
parts. of
There are
Portland.
definitely crazy
Yeah.
parts,
Yeah.
By
but
the skate park, I believe.
Yeah. Under the
we're
bridge
inside,
where the skate park is.
I feel like that is with
Not
skate
all of them,
parks.
but-
It's either they're well used or they've been abandoned and they're now
the hangout
just
for bad
latrines
kids.
for
Oh, yeah.
Or the trench
That's
coat
older
true.
guys.
It's bigger than ever, man. Skateboarding is crazy. My kids are getting so into it nowadays, and it was like I spent most of their childhood trying to encourage them to skateboard. Like,
Yeah.
please just
Pushing it on
skateboard.
them?
And now that
Yeah.
I don't, I'm just all right. They're never gonna do it, and I've kind of stopped doing it. I'd maybe do it once a month or something.
So
and now they're
once you
doing it
gave it
every.
up-
That once I'm not into it, they're
Yeah.
so into it.
That's the secret I'm trying to figure out now. It's all about what, because my kids, it's all about what do you want for your kids? What do you want? And I want them to do this. And especially, I don't know if it's a generational thing, because I think of how different my dad and I are. Like, we're so different. And yet, like, I totally want to be a dad just like him. I thought he was an amazing dad. But he was a dad, like, who kind of taught me through example, who just by being there, and like he taught us principles. He taught us not just survival principles and the things, the cores of scouting, but just life principles. We were very religious growing up, so he taught us all these spiritual principles and just being a good person, and essentially taught that kind of through action. So while he was a dad who would go to work every day, and he was a doctor, so he'd work late hours sometimes, and we just saw him like, all right, he'd be home and he was always dressed nicely, and just kind of your very typical go to work dad, comes home. He didn't really involve himself in our activities, because me and my brothers, we grew up like total kids of the 80s. We loved movies. We liked video games.
Bikes.
And we would do all this stuff, and we had enough playmates. Having a twin brother is like, we never had to worry about, Dad, come wrestle with us. We loved it. And he would wrestle with us every now and then. He wasn't neglectful. He just, he did. I felt like I felt like he inserted himself at just enough like as the fatherly figure. He's gonna wrestle every now and then, or he's gonna like maybe go watch a movie with us, but we had plenty of time in the outdoors. We went camping with him a lot, and I think that was kind of our bond.
Yeah.
As opposed to that home bond, because he'd be working and we wouldn't see him a ton, and then he'd come home and we'd see him in the evening, and he'd talk and he'd see us in the morning. But my life, is I'm home a lot. I'm home a ton.
Yeah.
If I'm not working, and then sometimes when I am working, then I'm gone for like 3 or 4 days or a couple weeks.
Yeah, or weeks
at
a time, right?
Yeah, but more often than not, I'm home. So my bonding time is every day with the kids, and it is like,
yeah,
and it is very much like, ooh, what do we do about video games? We got to cut back on them playing video games, but
hey, kids, stop playing.
But the thing is, but I like video games.
Yeah. Totally.
So there is a bonding element there with. I was like, all right, as long as we play together, we can play video games together. But I don't want him to become like, a zombie kid who's got his headphones on and doing that. So, there's balancing that. There's balancing, I'm way into music. My dad wasn't into music. So I'm always like playing all kinds of music for my kids. And come on, you got to like this. And it's kind of, you kind of touch on it where
exactly.
I felt like, when they were the older ones now, when they were really young, they were exposed to all kinds of, in my opinion, cool music.
Right.
But now it's like my daughter's listening to other things that I don't consider that cool. It's like,
right.
And there's that feeling like, I gave you this foundation so much good music.
You betrayed me.
So maybe if I pull back, she'll...
Yeah.
And she's liking some cool stuff. She is. Yeah. She listens to Chromeo with me, and that's kind of our bonding. And she like... And so now I'm like very, I'm getting her vibe and her sense now. And I'm like, okay, hey, I think you're going to like this. So I'm coming back into now like, all right, I got to like step back a little bit, but every now and then.
Yeah.
And the same with, it's like with all that stuff, it's like we can play or watch cartoons together, but it's a completely different approach than what my dad did. So I think the biggest thing, going back to what we were saying, I want to, my dad, again, I want to be the dad that my dad was. Well, he taught me everything, like, especially in the outdoors and just about life. And I was like, how do I be like that when I take my kids or one of my kids, when we go outdoors, he's just like, no, not yet. He's 10, but, leading up and my dream, my hope, my true fatherly desire is that he loves camping, because that's what I want to do with them a lot. I want to go camping. It's like, how do I?
Like
do I pull back? Do I pull that back a little bit, and then he's gonna like it?
Yeah.
Or do I just do I just force it? Like, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Because that's my dad never asked me.
Line.
He never asked us.
I think there's a fine line.
I was just going to say
he never asked. He was just like, this is what we're doing. We're going to go.
Camping.
All right, that's just life. Yeah. That's normal to me. But
it's hard in this day and age, too, with kids growing up being so attached to devices. Like, it's really hard to get kids excited about doing stuff outside.
Yeah.
And I think as parents, you just kind of have to do what your dad did. And it's just like, hey, we're going camping.
What the family's doing.
And let them moan and, I don't want to.
But we do have to fine tune, because the difference is my dad never had to worry about devices. I feel like that's going to be your topic in so many of these. In these episodes, it's just like, how do you parent these kids with their devices? And that's where I feel like, okay, I have to come up with new rules using the principles that my dad taught me, which I don't know. He never had to worry about that device. Sure, we had television, and now my kids are asking me, like, well, how much did you watch growing up? I was like, sure, I don't know. I honestly don't remember.
But we all watched a ton. We're 80s
No,
kids.
we did watch
a ton of TV.
But we were also outside.
Yeah,
we were outside a lot.
Because we had to wait for the right shows to come on. It wasn't just instant access.
Yeah, or maybe they would end. MASH would come on. He's like, it's time to go outside. I'm out. No MASH for me.
Yeah, Bonanza.
All those old shows.
A-Team's Tuesday night at 8, so until Tuesday night at 8.
Dude, the music, the theme music for MASH still triggers me. Just like, I was like, turn it off, I'm out. But at the same time, these devices are so influential at the same time, because depending on what they're tuned into, whether it's social media or just the internet, they do have access to so many things. So there's stuff my daughter, who's my oldest, I mention her a lot because she's my first everything, like experiencing all these things. And I mean, just she's 12 now, but just even, you know, at 9 or 10, she was kind of mentioning things that I was just like, what? We have never talked about that. Yeah. We've either, whether it was, you know, inappropriate stuff that we just don't want them to know about yet, or just, I mean, not even, it could be appropriate stuff, but just concepts and ideas that are just like, whoa. And it's so, and we, you know, we've never really given them, we're kind of the, not anti-device. They have devices, but they don't really have, I mean, they have like iPads and they are very restricted and they don't have much access to anything. So, but because of that access to that, you know, they do become aware of certain things, but without the experience. You mentioned, for us, it was like you go to a party or you're hanging out at a friend's house and we see our first dirty picture on a Playboy because we're at their house, and you have a context of a situation. Oh, you're in their dad's room. Oh, that's what other kids' dads are like. They've got that.
Right, yeah.
You know, or you see, you know, you kind of have that, as opposed to everything is, the context is just, it's a screen. There's no one there telling you anything else. You're just reading something and you're learning about it. So while they can learn, they don't know how to put that in context.
Yeah, like you're sneaking around looking for that, like, hey, my dad's got this. Or,
yeah.
Tommy's dad's got this. Let's go check it out.
I remember
but everything else just is with kids today. It just comes in like just something else.
Yeah,
you know, just.
I mean, I think of it, it's very easy to map out for me certain experiences like cuss words. Obviously, in our house, you know, or most houses are like, all right, you know, we don't use that kind of language. I remember so distinctly the two moments in my childhood. Like I remember once we were getting ready for like, I think like a church event that evening, and we're all sitting there, and I was putting on this tie, and I was like 8, so I was just learning to either tie a tie, and I was like, oh, I can't get this damn tie on, and like, my mom and dad, of course, was just like, we do not say that word, and I was just, and message loud and clear.
Yeah. So let's get back into how you got into acting. So was your dad supportive? We kind of jumped way over that, right?
Like, yeah, we did jump over.
Because you were in Oregon. Like, how did you get out here?
Yeah, well, I mean, leading up, I think my parents always questioned, like, what? Not upset, just like, where did this come from? Because all of us, except for Adam, you haven't met Adam, basically, but basically all the brothers, we were very creative and very. This is such a rip on. Poor Adam's listening. He's like, "What are you talking about?"
No, Adam's great.
No, he's
Adam,
good.
hey,
he's good. But what I mean is, like,
great.
my twin and I were big artists. We drew, and we were just like the artists in the school. We just drew
cartoons and animation.
Cartoons, animation. We were just very creative minded, very artistic.
Did your mom have any influence on
my
that?
mom and dad? Nothing. Like my mom to this day will claim
musical.
She claimed like, oh, the creative side, because I guess she was. I mean, I guess there was like, she didn't really do a lot of. I mean, I don't want to like, you know, she was creative in her parenting, I suppose, but they never really, you know, showed like, oh, we were artists. We weren't those kind of, you know,
right? Or we
creative.
did theater or something.
Like, yeah, I mean, she was good at singing and she was very talented at the piano.
Okay, so, you know.
And my brother and sister were very talented at the piano, but like my youngest brother Matt, he was very much into the arts. He liked drawing. He liked making movies. We were very much about making movies and videos and stuff. So my parents were always questioning, like, where did you guys get this? Yeah. Like, I just don't. I mean, that's great, but we were very much a theatrical family growing up. Yeah. Whereas my dad was just a very quiet, never never uttered jokes. Not that he didn't have he had a sense of humor, but it wasn't, you know, that kind of. He wasn't theatrical at all. Not an acting bone. He couldn't sing.
Old school dad.
He couldn't draw. He was just like, yes, yeah. And so I to this day still don't know where it came from, but all of the brothers really bonded on that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, through high school, we'd make our videos, and that's kind of where it grew more, and that's where I started kind of like getting a taste of acting, but I didn't really see it as a future.
But you went to college to do animation, right?
And animation, yeah. I mean, it was in high school, especially with all the video making. My twin and I really got into making videos. I mean, we were really like in like all throughout middle school and elementary school, we were known as the artists. And then come high school, everybody knew us as like the video makers. And we just made videos. And for school projects, oh, I want to be in a heater production. Like, I want to do that. Because like we really went all out. And that's where I started getting the bug. What?
Like Jason Schwartzman in Rushmore.
Yes.
Kind of like the Heaters.
Kind of that vibe, except it was pretty crusty. What what we were doing, and my older brother, he was kind of into acting. We went to BYU. We went to college, and I joined the film program, knowing I want to get into the entertainment business somehow. I don't know, like a director, writer, producer, artist. It was my counselor who then said, like, well, why don't you like art? Why don't you get into animation? Because that's like film and art. So I was like, yeah. So that's what Dan, my twin, and I both just started doing that. And then he went away for a semester back home to just work and make some money. And it was that semester that kind of just split us off in our career directions. Because that's where I met all the guys kind of behind Napoleon Dynamite. And like Jared Hess and Jeremy Kuhn and all these, I was doing films classes. And that's also when I took acting classes, because they were essentially, required classes you take for film school. You take acting. And when I took the acting class, I was like, oh, this is interesting. I went to theater camp, like I mentioned, like when I was a kid, and they teach you stuff, but it didn't hit me yet. I didn't really know how to express myself that way. And it was in college, I was like, I think high school, when I acted in front of the camera, that was the beginning, laying the foundation of like, oh, this is fun. Yeah. But then acting class kind of put terms and words for stuff. I was like, oh, that's what I've been doing. Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. This is making sense. I loved it. I loved it. And so I started auditioning for like just film, like student films, student plays, films, and people were like, hey, you should do this. And like I was getting again student film stuff, like, hey, you want to be in this video or not video, but you want to be.
So you were in multiple student films.
A couple, like here and there. It was like
the one that led.
Yeah,
to Napoleon,
well, I mean, Peluca, which is the short film that Napoleon is based on. We did that. That was around that time. I mean, that was kind of because of another student film I did.
Was that Jared's movie too, Peluca?
Peluca, that was all Jared. And
is that outside? Is that on YouTube or anything?
I think
you can see it on the DVD. If you have the DVD, it's there.
We watched
cool.
it. Yeah.
Nobody spends time with the extra features.
No, we watched it. But
it's great.
Now it's weird because of streaming. It's like you're kind of losing a whole generation of extra features. Even though you can dig them up and find them, but
you for sure can find it, and it's incredible. But that was kind of the beginning. That was one of the beginning films. Yeah. I was like, I think I did one student film right before that, and Jared just saw, all right, well, he kind of looks the part, and he has some acting experience. Yeah. So
I guess we'll use them.
Well, when you're a student, when you're film, like a student filmmaker, your pool isn't huge.
Exactly.
Not like in LA where they literally are going out to actors, like professional actors, like, hey, will you do this?
That Grimmick role.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Gleaming the Cube.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how it's all started, and then I did that, and
And so you did that and then moved out to LA, or where were you?
I did that, and so I finished up. I had one more year left of college after I shot it. So it's kind of like while the movie was getting ready to come out, I was finishing my last.
That's crazy.
And then again, kind of getting my degree in animation, knowing around like the last year, I was like, ooh, here's a giant door being opened to me. And I love acting, and it is in the film world, and I should really pursue that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I mean, it was soon after, I mean, as soon as Napoleon came out at Sundance, I got an agent and manager like lickety split. But my parents, my father, my dad.
Father here?
Yeah. No, we're going back to dad, you know. No, their reaction to it all was like, this is great. Like,
did they know you were doing the Napoleon thing, or obviously I would assume they
mean,
knew,
they
right?
knew,
You communicate, but they didn't know, like,
well, they
what
knew.
it
I
was
mean,
gonna do.
yeah, no, they had. I mean, they had no idea. I mean, when it
probably, right?
Yeah, nobody knew. When I was doing acting, I mean, they were aware of all my. I mean, most of my activities when I was at school. Just like, yeah, they knew I was a film student. I was doing a little bit of acting, but
It's like John's wasting his time still. He's no Patrick Swayze.
I think they.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the beginning, because it was right around the time I got married as well, and so I think they were more focused on like, "This is great. You're married.
Yeah.
What
But
are you?
what about
When are you
your
gonna have
family?
But I
kids?
think,
What's going on?
well,
Yeah.
they were like, there was always a question, like any good parent, just like, so you're finishing up college. What are you guys thinking
Yeah.
of doing?
Yeah.
With, but I think they were always just assuming my twin and I were going to be doing the same thing, is getting into the animation industry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually what he did.
Yeah.
He's a I think I told you, but he's a previs artist. So he does.
Oh, okay.
He does all the like animated storyboards for like the Marvel films.
Oh, crazy.
Huge movies, and
cool.
that's what he does now. I think he got into what I probably would have gotten into as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird having a twin. You can see that alternate reality
Yeah.
branch, seeing like what would have been.
That's a Stephen King movie, I think.
yeah,
That is.
Yeah.
with less
Dead ringers.
Yeah.
less gore and telekinesis.
We don't know yet. The movie's not over.
Yeah.
Oh,
We need to write
Right?
it.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I don't want to, jinx anything, but I think your brother's going to lose it soon.
He's gonna lose it.
Yeah. Somebody's going to in that movie, right?
Which movie?
The Stephen King movie.
The one, the Heater
Your
brother?
life, yeah.
Yeah,
It
you're
could
right.
Where's
There's
the twist
a-
going to happen? Can't be two happy endings for a Stephen King.
You would love this. That just made me think of this. I have this T-shirt that I got like 10 years ago, and it just I was in this shop and I saw this T-shirt, and it struck me because it says Alaska, Idaho, Oregon, Japan, and I was like,
Was it a Stussy shirt?
no, I don't. No, it was Uniqlo. Uniqlo,
Oh yeah, Uniqlo.
really cool
yeah.
Japanese brand.
Yeah,
they
right.
New York,
Alley,
they have
yeah.
a big store.
Yeah. And I saw it, and it just at the time I was like, well, there's some connections there, and I got it. And after I've had it all these years, and I kind of came up with this theory, because each of those places is a very important part of my life. So I began my childhood life in Oregon. I grew up in Oregon, so that was there. That crossed that one off. I began my adult life in Japan because that's where I served an LDS mission. So right there.
Yeah,
You speak
Where were you again?
Yeah.
Where were you?
Sendai.
Sendai. Okay,
Speak
I was in this.
fluently, right?
You were in. Where you at?
Tokyo Kita
North.
desu yo.
Tokyo North.
Yeah.
Turn.
Sugoi desu. Subarashikata.
I can barely speak English, so
We'll keep it.
All right. Whoa.
Ego
So
dake.
calm down here, guys.
me, Japan, fly, and 2 years
Fly?
fun times.
Yeah.
fly.
Crash, wing
Fly.
cruiser, crash, star cruiser, cash.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut.
It was fun.
Yeah. So, but that's like, you're 19, you're seeing the world, you're becoming an adult. That's where I start my adult life, is seeing the world, going to Japan. Idaho is where I began my career. That's where we shot Napoleon Dynamite, and that's where my life changed. Okay.
Uncle Rico. All that,
Yeah.
right?
All that wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
Then Alaska. I haven't been to Alaska yet.
It's a final frontier.
This
What
is
does that
where the
mean?
tale
That's
turns.
where you and your
This is
brother
where you
like
go
go at it with
crazy.
axes in
Yeah.
the.
exactly, the
do I
Shining
A, die in Alaska? Do I, or
I think you're tying
B,
bowline hitches.
or do I B,
Light trees on fire.
the worst part, or do I finish, like, do I start my retired, like my elderly life there?
Maybe.
Do I
Okay.
retire there? But retiring there sounds like a decision. If I make that decision, then it's not really, letting
come
fate
back.
run its course.
You made the decision to go to college, where you went. So
Not
don't look
to
into
Idaho.
Alaska.
I didn't go to college in Idaho.
Oh.
I didn't know he was going to
you
shoot this
filmed.
movie.
Okay,
I
there
filmed
you
in
go, there you go,
Idaho.
then. Yeah.
I didn't make that. I didn't
You're
choose
right.
to go to Japan. I didn't choose
apologize.
to grow up in Oregon.
That's true.
Now, if I ever
So
get a job
something-
offer in Alaska,
Hey, you'll know.
do I take that? Make that
you
choice?
have
Or
to, you have
how will I end up in Alaska not by choice? How is that possible?
A job, right? I mean,
No.
that's
A job is a
foreseeable.
choice.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Like either I'm going across the border and my plane
for what
crashes
it's
there,
worth,
or
going
maybe
to
I make it.
Japan was also a choice. You did make a choice.
I didn't
But you
choose
didn't
Japan,
choose
but
where he
they
goes,
did
though, right?
say
You did choose
Japan,
to
and
go.
I said I decided to go on a mission. They tell me Japan, and I say yes.
Right.
Well, I don't even say yes. I had already said yes to a
you already
mission.
said
Yeah,
yes.
so it wasn't
No
him
matter what.
picking where he wanted to go. Though.
Yeah.
He's
All
still,
right.
he's
Fair.
still,
Yeah.
Fair.
He's still on track here.
I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a choice there. You're right.
Maybe there has to be some kind
But
of.
what I guess the question more remains is what is going to be significant about Alaska? I don't really believe in fate. I don't really believe in this like design. I'm like, we make our choices and stuff.
But it's
So
out
when
there.
that
It's out there.
But if I ever if a day happens where suddenly I'm like, hey, we're shooting this thing in Alaska, it's gonna be like my wife and her are gonna look at each other like,
Yeah.
what do I do?
Yeah.
What do I do?
I'm not going.
No, this is baloney. No, it's my choice. I'm the designer of
These
my
are my
own
testicles. I'm not going. Yeah.
Fate is but what we make of ourselves.
Wait, were you acting?
You know that quote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know.
Connor.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I dropped the
saw
line
the latest
earlier. You
Terminator.
guys see?
How was it? I heard it wasn't so good.
I heard it was supposed to be good.
Yeah, well, a lot of things are supposed to be good.
Can we watch Red Dawn?
Oh,
Just
yes,
have fun
please.
with
Are
that.
you kidding me?
Come on.
The
Yeah.
Wolverines?
That's our
Let's do it.
favorite.
Yeah.
We're talking about the remake, right?
Let's end this thing.
Let's not. We gotta end.
Let's end this.
Oh,
damn
boy.
thing. You and your testicles.
Let's talk about Red Dawn real quick before we end. Okay.
Well, I want to ask
love-
a dad story
It's a
about
dad
the
story.
other
Red
thing.
Dawn.
You
I
brought
love
us
Red
Red
Dawn.
Dawn. Red Dawn.
Real quick.
I was scared of Red Dawn when it came out.
I went to the Boy
disturbing,
Scout
yeah.
office with my dad when I was 12 to pick up a merit badge or something. And right by the door, there was these flyers that say, come see this American patriotic film screening of this new movie by John Milius. And I didn't know who, whatever, I was 12. My dad's like, hey, want to go see a free movie?
We're Americans, right?
Come, son.
And I think for my dad, the allure was it was at the Directors Guild of America. So
Yeah.
my dad was like, ooh, that's a fancy place. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So we went, and there was like maybe 20 people there, and a couple kids, but
Yeah.
mostly people.
Yeah.
adults.
Proud Americans.
Proud Americans.
People, not children.
And it
Yes,
was
people.
Red
People.
Dawn, John Milius's Red Dawn. And at the end of the movie, in the Wolverines,
Yeah.
there's a plaque, there's a monument to the
Yep.
Wolverines. I looked over, and my dad, his tears running down his eyes. And he looked over, he was like, that's a good movie, son.
That's a good movie.
And also Avenge Me.
Yeah, avenge me, boys.
Seriously.
And that was my first time I saw Red Dawn. And after that,
And your dad cried?
Oh, my dad was crying.
Yeah. Okay.
First rated R movie I ever saw with my dad. He took us to the theater to see T2.
Whoa,
So
you
that's
saw
a-
T2 with your
Yeah,
dad?
yeah. I was
91,
like
right?
surprised.
I was in
91.
Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful
Wow.
movie.
Yeah.
Beautiful movie.
What were you
That's
going to
it.
see? You were going to ask him something.
Well, I wanted to ask about some fun stories on some of the movies and basically Blades of Glory, Will Ferrell.
Basically, you want to get to Blades of Glory.
You got any funny stories from that movie with the genius Will Ferrell?
He's a
'Cause
dad,
he's
right?
one of my favorites. Yeah.
He is a dad.
And you
He had a
like
little
him, right?
one at the time, and so they're like, I need to. Yeah. Oh, I loved him. Will's
Yeah.
the greatest, and
I'm called Will Ferrell.
yeah, William, as I like to
Oh,
say.
Willy boy.
I don't think I ever heard him called William. He was great. I mean, there's not the stories. It wasn't full of shenanigans. It was one of the filming experiences where it was such a different filming experience than any film I've done to this day, because it was larger than life. It was a dream come true to say, like, dude, I'm in a movie with Will.
Totally.
And not just like leading with Will, like
Yeah.
we're the two
Yeah.
guys. But like
you were the guy.
we were on
One of 'em.
a eating regiment. We had to work out. We like going to set was
That
like
sound fun.
no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
I like
Maybe
pie.
doing
Yeah,
Will Ferrell movie's not that great.
Dad bod.
Well, like it was like it was the biggest movie I'd done and have done where.
Yeah.
We each had like giant trailers, and it felt like we were just separated because
Take
we
that,
had to
Will
like,
Smith.
well, we had to work, we had to exercise, we had to train on the ice, and it was just really the two of us in all our scenes. There wasn't like a whole entourage of like fun casts. I mean, there was, but we didn't share a lot of scenes with the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
people. It was always like either on set. Everything was shot on set, not really on location. I shot one scene on location in outside when my dad kissed. Speaking of world's worst dads, my father in the movie, he's my adopted father,
Yeah.
kicks me out because I didn't win gold. So I'm unadopting you, and please leave the car.
Yeah, he let you out of the.
He leaves me on, and that was the only shot I shot on location. Other than that, it was like either on the ice in L.A.
Yeah.
or just on a sound stage. And
Had you any ice skating experience
duh, bro.
before
so
that?
again, yeah, I mean a little bit. But I loved. I was just like, all right, I've got this. And then first day of training, I was like, I don't got this.
Yeah.
But I was committed. And I was like, this is gonna be so much fun. And I love learning new stuff like that. I always thought, I grew up roller skating a lot, like for kids' birthdays, and like that's
rink.
where you have
the
rink is where you have your birthdays.
My son and all his buddies went roller skating like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Hey, Dad, can you drop us off at the roller rink tonight?
My kids are getting into that. So I just took them ice skating just last weekend. That was like my two youngest, and they were like loving it. And also scared, because they're pretty young and they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
but that's okay. I wouldn't have known. But so I had that desire, and so I got pretty good. I thought through training. Will stunk. He could not skate. Like every single shot you see of him on the ice, there's wires that they had to remove. They had wire removal. Like even just like really, there's a couple moments where we're any just still shots of us just standing on the ice or something, fine. But if it's even just like getting off the ice, there's wires involved.
That's so good.
But he's a big guy, a big lumbering. I mean, he does not have a skater's body at all, and while I didn't either, I was like, of the two,
you're more likely to have
agile.
Yeah. And so but
you're not short by any means.
No.
You breached the 6 foot
but we
mark.
had some.
I think what he's trying to say is Will's got a little husky, and he's.
No, he was taller too.
Yeah.
He's just a bigger,
He's a big man.
He's a good guy.
He's a dad bod.
He worked for the comedy. He worked for the comedy of the thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But our first day meeting each other actually was on the ice, because he got cast a little bit later.
Oh, crazy.
So he when I found out he was going to be in it, not only was I over the moon, but we didn't get to do a table read or anything like that. We just, all right, first day meeting was on the ice, and I was just thinking we're going to have to do all these like moves together, and like this is going to be so much fun. And he really was grounded literally in that moment when we met. It was like very humble, because you could see the fear in his eyes, just like, I don't know what we're doing here. Like, this is going to be crazy. And so because of that, it felt like, I had the skating handled, he had the comedy handled. We kind of complimented each other nicely in that way. And he was like the cool high school senior showing around the nerdy freshman.
Yeah.
And that's how it kind of felt working with him. And so story-wise,
he was copying your homework because you could skate and he couldn't.
Skate. And then I copy his homework.
That's what you're
copy his homework in terms of comedy. Like, this guy was like, he knew what he was doing, like,
he's the best.
for laughs.
So, and working in that capacity, like in a comedy film, and I mean, how much of, I know it's different depending on the director, depending on the actors, but how much of it gets into improv, and how much of it do you stick to the script?
Well,
like, do you guys get a good take that's in the script and then go, okay, let's go off script a little bit? Or
yeah, kind of like, this one is more so, I think, than Will was used to. When you think of like Anchorman,
to the script,
Anchorman is a very loose story. It's just like things, and you can tell it's shot and directed by a guy who works in sketch comedy. It's just sketches and stuff, where this is a little bit more of an A to B story, like a linear story where we got to do this. That said, absolutely, Will comes from that school of like, we're going to do as scripted, and then I've got alternates that and a lot of what you see on screen, pulling back the curtain a little bit, there's improv, and then there's planned improv. Like, okay, I'm going to write down, I'm going to have some comedians will have even like writing partners who like write down alternates on like even pieces of paper, just like kind of keep in your pocket. Like, okay, so we're going to do that, the scripted take first, and then I'm going to come up with some options. Some of it's right off the cuff, but a lot of times it's like, okay, I got this one, I'm going to go for a funnier version or just an alternate take, really.
Because a lot of times there is like some hype placed on the improv, like, oh, they're just making up as they go, but more than people think, it's people stay with the script. You're in the script,
Yeah. And there's versions, but like, when he's on the treadmill and he's doing that whole line that they used in that Kanye song, where we're like, he's like, we're singing to Lady Humps, and so we're like to the Black Eyed Peas or something like that. I was like, what does that mean? And we're throwing food at each other. I mean, so much of that scene was just kind of like improv.
Right, just going
Just
for
like
it.
kind of him making stuff up, and we're just having fun, and it's very reactionary. So it was great. It was like, and then there's ice stuff, which is a little improv, just physicality. We got to do some moments where there's like montages where we're training like off the ice and trying to, you know, get in touch with our feminine side where they shot these scenes. And I got to do some more like physical improv there, you know?
Yeah.
So that was pretty exciting for me. And, you know, I felt like that was a little bit more my strength because I just love physicality. Being an animator, being an actor, so much is about physical comedy, and not just comedy, just the physicality of anything. I got to shoot my first action film just like a month ago.
Dolph Lundgren in it?
Dolph Lundgren was not. No. He's so excited.
Gary Busey at least? Come on.
Dude,
something.
you would wet your
Give me
pants if I was in
something.
the next Expendables, wouldn't you?
Oh,
Love
man.
it. I love
We
it.
just talked about that.
Yeah, we did.
That would be amazing because they're getting like younger people. I'm like, you guys, come on.
Jason Statham's not like in there.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Yeah,
and
you can get in there.
I should. I did my first action film and I loved it. I was just like, I wanted to.
Where can we see it? What is it called?
It's the newest Tremors film.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
No way.
It's the newest
Is that
Tremors
out?
film.
What is it? When-
It's coming out. Well, we just
Is Michael
shot it.
Gross in
Let's
it
give it
again?
Michael Gross
Of course.
is the man in the film.
Amazing. Tremors. Hey, come
Look how
on.
stoked Christian is.
Tremors. That is a great movie.
Have you seen them all?
I haven't seen all of them.
I've only seen the first one.
I've seen
parts of the
3.
first one.
You've seen
I've seen the
3.
first
Wow.
3.
Well done. Well done.
But there's like 6 or 7.
Yeah,
isn't
this
there?
is the 7th one.
This is 7. Tremors 7.
Yeah.
There's that many of them.
Yeah.
So it's like Sharknado.
And I was
And
like,
Michael
ooh,
Gross
should I watch?
Is the
It's like Sharknado, but I want to say it's
so Fred Ward
higher,
and Kevin Bacon were the stars,
Yeah.
and Michael
Yeah.
Gross was the side character, but he's the one guy that stayed in.
He's
it.
been in every
so
single
he's-
one. He's been in
You
every
remember
He's
single
the
one.
Ian Ziering of Sharknado is what
Yep,
we're saying.
yep, yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
But you know
And,
Michael Gross is, right? He's
I
the
can't picture
Family
it.
Ties dad. He
Oh,
was the
yeah,
one with
yeah,
all
yeah.
the
He's the
guns.
world's best dad,
Yeah.
and I'm always
World's
bringing
best
him up.
dad, yeah.
He's world's best dad in Family Ties.
We got to
He's
get
great.
Michael Gross on here
He
too.
would be amazing.
He's world's best dad on Family Ties and in that movie because he has all the weapons to destroy the monster with.
Yep, yep.
The elephant gun.
He's the dad of Sarah Connor's then, right?
I think so.
Bringing it back to Terminator. I'm sorry.
Is he-
No, he's not
is
the
he in
father
that?
of
No,
Sarah
no, no, no.
Connors.
But
No.
she had all the weapons. To
Oh, that's true.
protect
I
her
guess.
son.
Yeah.
I guess that's what. Anyway, tell us more about that because that sounds exciting. When does it
It
come
was
out?
very exciting. It's probably coming out in a year. I think they said it takes about a year.
Awesome. That's
Perfect.
rad.
We'll hold
Are you
this
so
episode.
stoked, John? That's so good.
I mean, you know,
Come
I
on,
can't speak for the
Tremors.
final product. I hope it's great. But the experience alone was just incredible because everything was shot on location. We didn't do any, we did one shot with a green screen. And it was just,
practical effects.
it was all
stunts.
practical. Well,
Yeah.
no. All the creatures are all going to be CG.
Okay.
So that's a bit of a bummer.
That's a little
because
bummer,
I
yeah.
wanted to have some moments where I'm like in the maw
The graboids
of a
come out
graboid.
and everything,
He
yeah.
knows the name.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of the stuff when I went on to
The
it.
graboids.
But
The Graboids?
Yeah.
but you're gonna love
They
this. You're,
nickname it the graboids.
you're gonna
because
love
I don't know what
this.
to call
This
it.
is the first Tremors film. It takes place in the Solomon. It's an island, so it's like Jurassic Park kind of like where it's all in the jungle. All in a jungle island. I think the movie's called Island Stampede. I don't know if they're changing
That
that.
makes sense.
That's so good.
The Graboids are stampeding.
Yeah.
But my character is constantly making references to Predator. Predator a lot because it's just walking through the jungle with machetes.
Son of a...
Yeah, and so there's a
Jesse
lot. I make
Bonaventura.
I make a lot of references
The
to the governor.
Yeah.
No, the governor.
No,
Yes, you're right. The governor.
There's two
Not the
governors
governor.
in
Yeah,
that movie.
There's
that's
two
true.
governors.
Schwarzenegger
California and
and
Minnesota.
Ventura, yeah.
Do you think they like rubbed off on each other a little
Maybe.
bit there?
Who was first? Jesse was
I think
first.
they're
Jesse was
competitive,
first.
right?
Maybe.
Schwarzenegger's like, Jesse
Does
can
that
be the
mean-
governor, I'm going to be the governor.
Does that mean Carl Weathers is going to like
He should
show up
be.
as
I
like
would
some
can
kind
you
of
imagine?
political
I would
figure?
vote for Carl
Hopefully.
Weathers in a
Yeah,
heartbeat.
he's got my vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, Apollo.
I honestly think that's the only reason Schwarzenegger won is because people were
Oh,
like,
come on.
let's vote for
Do they
him.
even understand what he was like
No, who
running
cares
with?
about what he stands
Yeah.
for?
I'm
Let's
going
just-
to change California.
I want to hear him say California is the best.
California.
If
Yeah.
Apollo Creed ran for
California.
governor, he would win so fast. Come on. Carl Weathers right here.
Yeah, right here.
John Heder
for
and
2020.
we're calling
In
you.
Alaska, and
World's
then
best-
we can go. You can campaign for him in Alaska.
I know how that's going to turn out.
Maybe it's your
Not in the
twin.
jungle.
being
Maybe your
fed to
twin
the
turns.
Wolverines.
Yeah, my twin.
Yeah, maybe
Don't
you have to
send him.
fly out
I'll
to
send
save
him. Fate isn't blind. Okay, Fate can see through all.
Maybe
masks.
this all is like some kind of destiny that we pulled some Alaskan tale together.
This is one elaborate like illusion that you guys do in your podcast. We step out and we're like, "Surprise, John! We're in Alaska."
We're driving to Alaska right now.
We're driving.
Yeah,
This is a
that's why we're
very.
stalling to keep.
It's not just soundproof. It's
Almost
motion.
there.
Yeah.
It's motion proof. You're like, "Come on, John. We're almost
18
there."
more hours. Yeah, we're good.
Dude, if that has to be my swan song, fine.
Yeah.
Let it be. What
Make
if it's
it
my
beautiful. Make it
final like
beautiful.
project
What if
where I
it's
go
like Grizzly
full?
Man, where you like go camping?
No, but
Hey,
it's
look at these bears. Pet them.
yeah, it's gonna be full on like Daniel Day-Lewis method style where I'm just like, dude, have you heard John's new film where he's just like beard coming out of his
So it'll be like
crotch,
Robin
beard
Williams
coming out of
Jumanji.
yeah, just like full on, just like going there and living in a cabin.
Maybe we need to write it.
in Alaska.
That's you. Right.
All right. Well, maybe we'll come up with it.
Yeah.
And I think we've got a direction here.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to say no. I would love to go to Alaska. I think it would be a beautiful place.
Yeah.
I'm an outdoorsy
But
guy.
you're getting nervous about it, just talking about
well,
it. Yeah.
I don't know. I think
It's
it'd
like
just
your
be
fate.
like,
It's like you
whoa,
feel like that's
weird.
it.
I don't really
Because it's the
believe
only place on the shirt that you haven't been
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
And the other ones
it's the
is
la-
how you
is it the
started
last-
life. Yeah, it's the last one.
State or nation?
I don't remember if it's the last one. I have to look at it, but it's in there somewhere.
That could be
like,
weird if it was in order.
What if
It's not in order.
order?
It's
Yeah.
out of order.
if
We
I
already
was
said,
cons-
right?
Well, in the movie, it's going to be in order
Oh, the movie.
Yeah.
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 when we tell his story.
Oh, I see. You're gonna tell my story.
Well, after you die
Yeah.
in Alaska. Yeah.
Okay. Or retire in Alaska.
Yeah,
Let's
retire,
not.
retire.
Let's,
Yeah.
let's
You'll-
not.
both the
It'll
same.
start with
Throw that out
writing
of
your
the-
story.
Yeah, let's not
in
throw that
Alaska
out.
on a
It's like
typewriter.
Misery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Perfect.
it. Okay.
Perfect.
We got a plot. We're ready.
Someone
Or maybe
recording
my-
this? Are we going to remember this?
Maybe my first grandchild will be born while I'm in Alaska.
Whoa.
You know,
That's it.
that's like, oh, your grandparents' years start there.
You got time for that though. Your
Yeah.
oldest
Yeah,
is
you're
only
way younger
I
than this
hope
old.
I
a
full
young
time.
teenager, right?
Very, very young teenager.
How old?
12.
Okay.
So not even a teenager
right.
yet.
Yeah, not even. Well, she's acting like one.
So okay,
Got the attitude.
that's what I
of a
wanted to
teenager.
know is because when my oldest daughter was like between 11 and 14, maybe almost 16, it was like suddenly we were good friends and then I was like annoying to her. Like, are you going through that at
It's
all?
a mix of that. It's a mix of. She's still friends with me. There's definitely that moment will always happen with when the eye rolls start. It's
Yeah.
just like that. You're no longer the funniest guy who can like do no wrong. It's more like
I had that moment.
I know better.
Yeah.
I know better than you.
Yeah.
For sure. That started like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
She hit teen years like way earlier, in terms of, and it's just like and the thing that gets my wife and I the most is she is completely cool headed about it. She's just like
She knows she knows.
we could be
more.
like you have like like if we're trying to keep ourselves from yelling or something about something she's done like listen and she's just like and she'll look at us like
Whatever.
Dad, are you ready to act normal now? Just that kind
Can
of
we
stuff
have a
is like
conversation now, Dad?
like
So
all right,
she got the
Dad.
Scoutmaster cool. from
Oh,
your
she's
dad.
got
Yeah.
something
It's
like
in the DNA.
and there's something I admire about that she can keep her like she irrationally acts rational.
Yeah.
Like I mean, of course she's void of logic, and yet
12.
yeah, she's 12. Like she doesn't get some of the things, but she uses. She acts like she's using logic. Like, well, obviously this. I was like, what are you talking about? Obviously, no, that doesn't make
crazy.
sense at all. Like,
Yeah.
It's
I
not.
don't know,
obvious.
but
Yeah.
she can like hold it. So I was like, we've always talked. She's gonna be a good lawyer if she ever.
There it is.
She would be a great lawyer.
Or she can defend you from.
She
your
knows
last
how to
accident.
argue it.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, you stated your case. Now it's my turn.
Yeah. Can counsel speak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And again, I'm now seeing kind of full circle with how my parents were, and I'm like, my wife and I are like, where some of her quirks and mannerisms and things like, where did she get this? So, parenthood is a very mysterious.
Hey, you don't know what you're gonna get.
You really don't know.
It's like a box of chocolates.
Hey.
Hey.
We're gonna end on Forrest Gump.
That was
It's gotta be
good.
something from Rambo or
Oh, we'll end on something better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing
We
is
wanna
over!
thank- hey,
There we go.
Red Song has got us.
Nothing is over.
Nothing is over.
we want to thank Jon Heder for
Thank you.
spending time
Yes.
in his driveway in our bus.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
We
And
have
you're
some
right.
party
The
gifts.
sweat is now starting
It's coming,
to
right? You
come
can feel it.
down.
It's time to
Yeah.
end.
That's our timer.
So we have some parting gifts for
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
first from our
Gorgeous.
friends at
Left Coast
Left Coast
Oh,
Novelties.
nice.
We got a World's Best
We got-
Dad.
Oh,
we got
good
podcast
trucker hat. I'm always on the
We got
lookout.
podcast.
You put your soda pop
koozie.
in there.
I thought
And-
that was like a flask for a second when you just
Yeah.
popped it up.
From our
Depends
friends
on who has it.
at Igloo.
Hey, where did
on.
my drink go, you guys? Where did my drink
Oh my
go?
God. This is
Oh
from
my
our
gosh.
friends at
From our
Igloo.
friends at Igloo.
Look, It
pops open.
opens. You can put stuff in there and keep it cold.
Yeah.
Are these Jacob's drawings?
Yeah, my brother
They're
Or
one of the
Parker.
Jacobs.
Parker.
One of the
Parker, not
Jacobs.
Jacob.
This is yours.
Yeah,
Parker.
yeah, yeah.
This is yours.
Parker did those, and
Yeah. Look at you.
being part of the
no.
Figured it
Aquabats,
out. You figured it out.
being part of the Aquabats world.
Yes.
Okay, not only are you Eagle Claw and Dwayne Johnson, the Invisible Man, right? Which
Yes.
I don't know if you saw the episode, but
I need.
It's
I,
fantastic.
I thought it was great.
I
your
love
very
doing that.
own Aquabats
Yes.
slip-on
Yes.
pants.
What's even better is that I am sockless right now, so
Let's give
Look
them a
at
try.
you.
They're size 12s. If they're a little snug now, they'll loosen up.
will they loosen?
loosen up, yeah.
That's what nice because I like loosening things. Just leave it. Just leave it there. That's one
And
for the editing.
the collectible box.
Yes.
Oh.
Should be worth
It's so collectible.
at
Oh,
least
it's gonna
$20.
be.
If
You
you
got 'em all.
recycle that, that's easily.
Crash has
50
got the
cents.
beard and all.
That's right. Anyway,
That's amazing. Thank you guys.
thank you.
Oh.
Guys, Jon Heder.
Jon Heder.
So
There he is.
feel free to subscribe and all that crap that you do when you do.
Yeah.
I don't know what they say.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I
We'll
don't
Figure out
know
where it's going to go.
podcasts.
Just Google it. Or
If
something.
that if
Thank
that
you very
ad
much,
pops
Jon
up-
Heder,
Yeah.
everybody.
Jon Heder.
Thank
See
you.
you next
Thank
week.
You. Thank you
next
guys.
time.
Beautiful.
It's an honor.
Next, everybody. John,
Thank you.
you're a great dad. Welcome to the team.
Thank you very much.
World's best
Fantastic.
dads.
Fantastic.
Are we the best?
We are.
I was very honored when you asked
You
me like
are.
world's best dad. All
Of
right.
course.
But it's dad, not dad. So like, are you in search?
We're going
for
to
the
fight in a second.
World's best
and
dad.
whoever wins is going to.
No,
This
we're
is
gonna
the
get
world's
all
best
the
dad.
guests will meet in the octagon.
Yeah.
So it's gonna
In the bus. We're going to just
the
fight in the
Thunderdome.
bus.
The Thunderdome.
There it
Oh,
is.
yeah, there we go.
2 men enter, 1 man leave.
That's right.
You know that.
Master
Yeah.
Blaster.
Who run Bartertown?
That's
Right?
the best.
Okay. We're going to end.
All right, we got it. Ow! Woo!